addicted to? And what did this world do to you? What will it take to get you through? And how long has this had a hold on you?
Hello, welcome back to another edition of Addicted2. We are coming back to finish up with Tara. So,
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you, Sean.
So, we were talking last show about boundaries,
Yes.
and I wanted to ask you, have you experienced a situation where you were finding there was pressure to drink?
I did, actually.
You did?
Not from the people I was around, from myself.
From yourself?
From myself. I was at home, and my husband and his friend had finished, I think, hockey or something, and they were just hanging out. We were all chatting, and he was making an old-fashioned for him and his friend. And I realized that I was obsessively watching this drink being made. And I went, wow, I am quite uncomfortable right now, and I need to exit myself from this situation. Mm-hmm. And so I did.
Yeah.
Right?
And what did you do?
I said, hey, you know what? It's 9:45. I'm ready for bed. And I just went upstairs and I went to bed. I didn't really realize at the time what happened until I woke up the next morning. And it kind of hit me that, holy crap, I was obsessively watching this drink being made. And I knew that I'd probably try to have a drink at some point that evening, just based on like staring down this bourbon and going, well, I can just wait until he goes to bed, or, you know, I've been sober for a few months right now. Maybe I could have just a little bit and it would be fine. And it wasn't. I needed to exit. And I felt really good about it. And I talked with him about it after. I said, hey, I did that and I needed to. He says, I understand, completely respect that. And it was at that point, really, that I realized that it was okay for me to have a boundary. It was okay for me to really say, not comfortable, I'm going to exit. And it's kind of when I also figured how to be more comfortable with myself. Because I've got two kids. They're 10 and 7. And I thought, you know, when my daughter's 16, if she's in an uncomfortable situation, do I want her to just stay and tough it out? Or do I want her to exit herself? Do I want her to feel comfortable enough to say, I'm leaving? Wow. Of course I would. And I challenge any parent or any person who knows somebody who is younger. As an adult, you really would look at a young person and say, no, you should really stay in that uncomfortable situation. You shouldn't feel that you should have to leave. Nah, you know, it's fine. And where does that lead, right? That leads to getting into a drunk driver's car. It leads to maybe trying drugs or alcohol for the first time. It can lead to assault. Male and female. It can lead to so much. Where if you support your boundaries, you realize that, no, if I wouldn't tell my kids that you should just suck it up and deal with it, why would I tell that to myself? And once I started getting more comfortable that I could have boundaries, because you know, you're very bad at having boundaries when you're on your drug of choice. Because, geez, as we said, you know, we try to make boundaries and just ram through them all the time.
Always.
Oh, I'm never going to drink again. This hangover is so horrible. 6 hours later, it's really nice outside. It's a Tuesday. I should have a drink. So we're not good at having our own boundaries, but it's really empowering to do that. And then I think when you get comfortable with your own boundaries, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the other episode, that you start to respect other people's boundaries too, right? And I think that's the way that you get past all of the guilt and the shame and all those tumultuous feelings that you have during your sobriety, to really just kind of settle into your sober self, that you now are okay with, hey, yeah, I might have behaved this way and now I might have lost that person from my life. They don't want to be around me anymore, even if I am sober, because it's too much. There's been irreparable damage, right? Let's say you lose a job. How many employers are going to hire you back just because you're sober? That bridge is probably burned, right? That opportunity is probably gone if you got fired for your non-sobriety. So,
Well, it probably is for the most part, but I've seen a lot of people come back from a lot worse, and maybe the situations are different. Even when you were talking about the pressure of yourself, though, I just wanted to share something that happened to me. I had multiple years of sobriety in. I think at that point, 4, if not 5, when I had a separation. There was alcohol up in the cupboard, and I knew there was. And it was there all the time for people to come over. Never bothered me. When she moved out, when you were talking about that, your husband making that old fashioned and that, I could so relate. All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, my focus was on that cupboard and what was in it. And I cracked the seal on one bottle because it was full, and I poured it outside in the grass. And that wasn't good enough for me. I went back and took the other bottle, and I was dumping it down the drain because I was so scared of being alone with it, with that thought. I was crying, pouring it down the drain, and I thought to myself, what's wrong with me? A week ago, this was in the cupboard, and I didn't care. Why do I care all of a sudden now? And why am I so scared? But the right course of action, after a few days, I thought, well, that was kind of stupid. What
now I have to go get some more.
Well, no, I know.
For when people come over or what have you.
I didn't replace it. But there was a big part of me thinking, you idiot, you wasted all that, like you cracked it a brand new. I could just hear some people that I knew going, you could have gave it to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't have time.
Yeah.
I didn't have time. So I could so relate to what you were saying, the obsession that came out of nowhere. And my course of action wasn't to go to bed. It was to get rid of. And then I could finally breathe. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah. I mean, it's getting yourself out of the situation. Whether that's, I have to get rid of this alcohol or whatever I've just found in my home by getting rid of it, leaving your home, going to bed, calling somebody so that you can get it out in the open.
And you noticed in both of our situations, neither one of us called anybody.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yes.
When that's what we were supposed to do, that's what we know we're supposed to do, and neither one of us did it. We still came out of it.
Yeah.
But isn't that noteworthy?
You know,
Because
I
we
was
still end up alone.
well, and
Or we think we have to deal with it
you
alone.
think you have to deal with it alone. Here's something that is part of my story. I was suicidal when I was a teenager. And the day I decided that I was going to end my life, the only reason I didn't was because I went home and my brother was home.
Wow, that was a God shot.
I was not going to be a statistic. Okay? I knew that if I tried to do anything while he was home, I was going to get caught, and then I was going to end up in a psych ward and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. In order to, you really have to just happen to have somebody around to be able to talk with them about something like that. Your first instinct isn't going to be, I need to call somebody to get me out of this.
It isn't.
Because in that moment, that is the furthest thing from your mind. You're singularly focused.
We're in panic mode.
We're in panic mode.
We're in panic mode.
So you're singularly focused, and the only time you can talk about it is after the situation has already passed, unless somebody just happens to catch you in that moment. So as you were going through this, obsessively staring at your cabinet, if somebody had called you in that moment, you would have been more likely to say, whew, man, I'm having a moment. But because there wasn't anybody there, you had to deal with it yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And more often than not, we are going to be by ourselves when those things happen.
We're
But-
always left alone with our own thoughts, no
Yep.
matter what the projection is.
Yep.
Right?
And so you just got to be prepared for that, right?
But what it always, I described it on one show, addiction to me is like standing on the top of a telephone pole that's about 100 feet high. And you're saying to the devil, I'm going to stand here. And the devil's just laughing, going, okay.
I'll wait.
I'll wait. And what seems like an eternity, but may only be like 1 minute, all of a sudden, you know, you're getting thirsty. You have to go to the bathroom. You're getting fidgety, and you're looking down, and you're going, and already you're swaying. Mm-hmm. You're like, it's only been a minute, and he's sitting there going, ha, and you think you're gonna make it the rest of the day, huh? Good luck.
There.
You know, and then you know the weather's coming, and you're still jumping from foot to foot, getting more unsure with each movement, and the devil just keeps eyeing you, going, "You're mine, you're mine."
I call it the little fucker in my head.
It is.
There's a little fucker in your head.
And that's what it's like, trying to white knuckle it. Or, I mean, even when you do have a sponsor and you've got the people and you're doing whatever you're doing, there are times when you're alone and the wheels are turning. And
Most of the time you'll be alone,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because even when you sleep, right? Nobody's in your head.
No,
Nor do you want somebody in your head. Let's be real.
that's true.
Nobody wants to be. I don't want somebody in my head 24 hours a day. I certainly don't want to be in somebody else's head 24 hours a day. But when those things happen, and they will, because the little fucker in your head is going to try and tell you it's okay.
Knock you off that pole.
Or something. Yeah, knock you off the pole. And it's about, you can use the techniques that you learn, right? You can play that forward. Where does it end? So you accept it, and you have your drink or you have your drug. Where does it end? What does it lead to? What's the worst case scenario? You can do all of those things to kind of talk yourself back.
If you can think of it.
If you can think of it. But the default is you can always walk away. You can always turn around and walk away.
But you have to, je ne sais quoi, summon
Yeah,
something,
you have to have that strength of self.
breathe, regroup, and somehow pull it together long enough to say, okay, listen, give your head a shake. You can't let the bastard win like this. And then try to figure out what is my next move. And you're right. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like.
Whatever
Get
that
out of this room.
Yep.
Get out of this headspace. Breathe. And then let's figure it out. Jump in the car.
Whatever
Maybe
it
make
is.
a phone
Maybe.
call.
Yep.
Call a friend. Break down and cry. Grab something. Tear something. Throw something.
Go for a drive.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Go to bed.
Whatever it is, right? But talk yourself through walking away. How do I walk away? You know? And to your point of everything that you just said, it doesn't have to be literal, but it definitely has to be there. It can be figuratively walking away, right? Now I'm pouring my alcohol into the grass, right?
Because I figured it needed it worse than I did.
Right? That's also walking away from it, right? And that's, you can talk to people. Like, that's why it's really beneficial to be going to your meetings, or to be getting help, or to be, you know, if you're more, I feel more comfortable being on my own journey. So I'll listen to a podcast like this, or I'll read something, or I'll, create my own group of support, whatever it is. But walk yourself through how you walk away.
And do you know what I was thinking? Because it was a full jug.
Yeah.
It was the longest pour of my life.
Yeah.
Do you know how many times we looked at an empty bottle and I had that thing 90 degrees pointed downwards, and I was thinking,
how is it possible that this has gone on for an hour?
It seemed like it was refilling itself. I was like, man, I've never seen a bottle last so long in my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It was like a slow motion when you're in an accident. Mm-hmm. You know, when you can see something coming and everything slows down.
Yeah.
There's a time interruption, whatever you call that. And then and you're like, no, we're going to hit it. And then all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah.
And then time goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Well, that interruption there seemed like it was a decade.
Yeah. Absolutely. And, I think the more you trust yourself, the easier that'll be. Right?
When I came through that, I thought after I had my breakdown and pulled myself together, I said to myself, you can make her through this. You can make her through anything.
Yep.
You really can.
Yep.
It's just, hopefully, those moments are far and few between.
Yeah.
And they were. I think everybody gets tested. And you can never prepare for it because you never know at what time that is going to strike.
Yeah.
And that can strike people. Even I heard that a little while ago from someone that had 25 years. All of a sudden,
just
for them,
boom.
It was a bottle of wine. And that thought was there for days, and they were driving themselves batshit crazy over this image of this bottle of wine, mm-hmm. and it had never crossed their mind for years. So it's not even there's never a comfortable point in this journey where you can say, I've got this.
No, I think that's a scary proposition. And here's why. I think you have to trust yourself more to say, I've got this, and not let it consume you. Right? Because you can, as I said before, when it comes to trauma, it could be something that happened to you traumatically when you were younger, or, you know, as an adult, whatever kind of contributed to the situation where you were able to get addicted to your drug of choice. But sometimes that trauma becomes your drug of choice is your trauma.
Right.
And if you don't want to be ruled by that, at some point you have to live beyond it. That your trauma is part of you. It's part of your history. It's part of your makeup. But it's not the only thing that you are. So you can be comfortable and say, I've got this. Because you trust yourself enough that when it happens, because it will, that it's okay. You'll be able to get through that too. It doesn't have to define you, right? I think because my trauma and my history was sexual abuse and so many things that don't get talked about. I really firmly believe that even though you're alone when you experience those things, because most often you will be, you know,
Have you ever
triggered
thought
from
of
this.
it? That's a good question. Have you ever thought of it? Because, I mean, you don't stop being a CFO. You don't stop entertaining all of a sudden. You still go out to dinners. You still go out to functions. You still have to put on the hat and the smiley face, stampede.
Yep.
Has that ever happened? Or have you not? You've got 1 year. So like Stampede is coming up.
Stampede is coming up. I think...
So more of that will happen,
for
like
me,
more functions.
It will be. And I think it goes back to not being afraid to talk about the things that we don't talk about, right?
Do you feel that you are more mentally geared up because you know the situation, so you're already saying, I know what I'm going to do, I know what my boundaries are, and so you don't have your finger in the dike. You've got a good foundation there. So you go into it prepared. Yeah.
I actually went to visit some family, a first cousin that I hadn't seen in a long time. And I stayed with them for the night, and I was saying that I was looking forward to it because this would have been the first time that he had seen me where I wasn't drinking.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm actually kind of looking forward to saying I'm sober. I'm looking forward to saying, yeah, I don't need it, and I'm pretty proud of that.
And remembering the conversations.
Right? And I think that's when you don't voice it, if you're one of those people that really just hold it in all the time, that weight is going to become untenable. And that's when the dam is going to break. Because you're allowing your trauma, whether that's the addiction or your past trauma, to still control you. And so when you let that out by either talking about it either in a recovery scenario, with a therapist, with trusted friends, with whomever, even if it's saying it out loud in a car, there is so much power in not holding that inside so that it's continuing to control you. Because, when you're a survivor of sexual trauma, a lot of the fear is because your abuser convinces you that no one will believe you, or somehow it's your fault, or somehow these things are present, and so you can't tell anybody. You can't voice it out loud.
And there must be shame. And that goes along with the addiction, too.
And that goes along with the addiction. That's why I think that addiction is a form of trauma as well. Because when you're sober, right, you're dealing with a lot of the same emotions. The guilt and the shame and all of that. So by keeping it in, though, you're allowing your addiction to still control you. And by letting it out in some way, journaling, saying it out loud, It doesn't matter what it is.
Journaling, yeah.
But if you
that's
keep it
something
in,
we haven't really talked about.
you have to let it out. You can. I don't think that I would have been able to recover from my traumas, including my sobriety journey that I am on right now, and feeling so comfortable where I am, because I know that it's only a year, not even a year. I recognize how short of a period that is.
But I mean,
I recognize that there's going to be challenges and that it's not always going to be easy, and maybe I will have a slip up. But I'm voicing it so that the silence doesn't hold the power anymore. The trauma is in the silence. Don't let silence have the power. Take the power back. Get it within yourself again so that you're not silenced.
but I think we get so caught up in time. And I'm going to share something with you. And this is what I shared with some people. On Friday, I had 4,444 days. And some people may say, wow. I mean,
That's awesome.
I'm not dismissing it.
Yeah.
It's a great accomplishment. But I'll tell you something. They were not all happy days. I've found more happiness in the last couple of years in serenity. I would rather take one happy day than to have lived 10 years where I was fairly miserable and I needed a lot more work to be done. So my message is, it's not just about accumulating days, it's about the quality of those days. Don't dismiss the fact that you've had a year if it's been one of the best years of your life.
And it has, right? It has. I think it's just more of a recognition that, yeah, 1 year, I was pregnant twice. I went without drinking for 9 months, right?
There, yeah. Okay.
Okay. And I went back to it. So it's, again, I really feel strongly that if I'm silenced, that's where the danger is going to be for me. Right?
You need connection.
You need to, and that just gives you the comfort and the ability to be comfortable with yourself. And again, trust yourself. I can handle it, right?
Saying it out loud is like, you've heard of The Secret? Mm-hmm. So that positive thinking, if you think about it, that's okay. But things don't really manifest, they say, unless you actually speak the words. And it's the same as this, is you've got to get rid of it. You've got to talk about it. And we've also come up with the theme, and I'm working on a theory, and the theory is a mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah.
And those three things are pinnacle, it seems, to long, healthy sobriety. And that is my quest, is to figure out what that secret sauce is. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what you're talking about, you're making connections and you're talking about it and taking your power back.
Yeah. And I think that is because I don't know anybody that I've met who's been sober that has said, oh, I was fully in control when I was on my drug of choice.
Out of control.
Right? No, I was fully in control with my drug of choice.
No.
And now I'm sober. Not a single person.
No, we're out of control.
Absolutely.
We've given up our control.
Exactly. And so it goes back to, and there's 8 billion people, right? So I actually looked it up. There's about an estimated 7 million people who would be considered an addict in Canada.
7 million out of 40.
Yeah.
I think that might even be a low number.
This is from a couple of years ago, but this is the estimate. Now, here's the real mind bender. there's only about 125,000 people who are in some kind of recovery. 7 million addicts, 125,000 people are doing something about it.
And I've noticed, and I actually did this yesterday. I asked ChatGPT, and this is a fact, you can do it yourself, because I've noticed a lot of men versus women ratio.
Yeah.
There's probably about 10 guys to every female. And I've always wondered why, because in my addiction, honey baby, there was always a lady there willing to partake in whatever was happening. So that wasn't really an issue. And I asked ChatGPT, are women less likely to admit that they have an addiction? And the answer came back, yes. And even ChatGPT defended it due to the fact that it's complicated and whether it was like, okay, you sounded like you're gender biased, right? You're already making excuses. But it said, because there was hormonal challenges and stigmas and all this stuff, and I was kind of laughing going, yeah, because guys don't have any stigmas or whatnot. But I mean, that's not the point. It's not the point to,
Yeah. Well,
say
and,
that-
that brings up an interesting point. So let's say you're an introvert, you're not comfortable going to a meeting. You're not comfortable talking with somebody about it. We have AI. There's absolutely nothing stopping you from going on your phone and saying, hey, whatever AI platform you're using, I am having a difficult time with my addiction. Help. There will probably be a response for you straight away.
Yeah.
Right? There
But
will,
I still think,
there's no limit to what AI could do to help. All you have to do is ask for it. And if you do it beforehand when you're feeling healthy, in that moment, that may be just what you need.
could be.
It could be.
I still think the human connection
I agree.
is...
I wouldn't personally do that. But, you've got different generations, right? We got to find what works for you. It's an opportunity. So if it works for you, great. If it doesn't and you think it's silly, don't do it.
So let me ask you this. You're coming up to 1 year.
Yeah.
What is your secret sauce now? So you were able to take yourself out of that situation.
Yep.
And make it through. So are you finding it easier, and how do you set up your day? Let me ask you that.
I don't take it for granted, but I do remind myself that all of my excuses for drinking were just that, and I had lots.
Didn't we all?
Oh, I've had a bad day, drink. I've had a good day, drink. It's Tuesday, drink. It's sunny, drink.
It's sunny, I was about to say.
It's sunny. We gotta sit on a patio, drink.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's rainy and depressing and I don't want to do anything, drink.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. As a matter of fact, my big app idea was to have it's at 5 o'clock somewhere to give yourself an excuse to drink, and then it would tell you where the closest pub was.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Only an alcoholic comes up with that idea.
That sounds like it'd have been big in LA or Nashville or something, You'd have to have a strip, but yeah.
You'd have to have something. But it's, and so I can laugh at myself. And I do it. I laugh at myself. Anytime there's that even a hint of, geez, I could have a drink. And this happened to me. So busy season is when you have to get out your annual audit report. Now, the last few days before that report goes out is very, very, very hectic.
Stressful.
Very stressful. You're up 24 hours a day. Maybe not consistently, but you are. So in the 2 days before the results announcement, I was having to get up every couple of hours, including in the middle of the night. And I was having a hard time falling asleep.
I bet.
And so when I laid down from what I was hoping would be a 2-hour sleep session at 1 a.m., and 1:45 rolled around, I went, fuck. You know, if I just had a couple of drinks, I'd fall asleep.
But probably not, because you'd still be...
Oh, yeah. And I'm laying you've got a fan in here, and I'm laying in my bed, and I'm looking at the ceiling, and I'm watching the fan go around, and I started to giggle. Now, out loud. Completely insane, because nobody's in your head. So nobody understood what was going on there.
There are different people in my head. Sometimes there was a party.
Yeah. And I went, okay. So, sure. You're getting up in an hour and 15 minutes. You think you're going to have a couple of drinks. Okay, Tara. You really think that's going to happen? No. So, and how are you going to feel in an hour and 15 minutes? Probably tipsy. And are you going to be able to do anything? No.
Tipsy? I could tell you what you're going to feel. More.
Yes, exactly. More. It wouldn't stop at 2 drinks.
No.
And so as I was laying in my bed, staring at the ceiling, watching the fan go around and around and around, I'm actively laughing. Not very loudly, because it was the middle of the night. But I'm laughing at myself, recognizing all of the excuses that I had told myself for the last 20 years. And how stupid it sounds, right? If you, and I think this goes back to the silence. You can really give yourself a lot of reasons to behave badly, but if you had to say it out loud...
You know the funny thing is when you share those reasons with someone else in their addiction, it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And your brothers or sisters, because you're like
you're speaking their language.
So
absolutely
relatable. Yeah. Because it was 5 o'clock and I'd had enough at the office, so I got out of there 2:30 and here I am, and yahoo, good for you.
Yeah. I drank all the way through and I got that report done. Yeah, of course you did. Yeah, okay, yeah. But once you're okay being sober, right? You've decided to be sober, and it doesn't matter if it's that day or if it's 4,444 days. I like that. 24 hours, 12 hours. It really doesn't matter. It's having the strength to go, you're so full of shit. Don't you see that? You're so full of shit, right? Because that's the voice that is louder. It's not the little fucker in your head. It's not the devil and you're on the telephone pole. It's really, whose voice is going to be louder? Is it going to be yours or that? I choose it to be mine. And
do, but there are times when we were talking where you'll understand I've talked about a higher power and a lower power and how that can be a conduit, that lower energy.
Yeah.
And sometimes that voice gets very loud and the energy gets very strong and can shake you to the foundations. And that's where the part where I do believe it's hard for us to have a choice, because it is taking control. And son of a bitch, it can bring you to your knees. And it would take everything you've got and more. I really believe that you do have to reach out externally to someone or something, whatever you want to believe in, higher power, the sun. But you've got to grab on and hold on tight, baby, because you're going on a ride.
Well, and that's, I think that's a really good point. When you're how do you deal with any emergency? Right?
First of all, you panic.
Right?
Right?
Okay.
First of all, you panic.
You panic.
There's no, like all of a sudden there's a fire. The first thing you go, shit.
Yep.
Then you try to gather yourself and figure out
what are you going to do? And that's the thing, is that there's not, you don't have to be riddled with anxiety to take yourself through that. Right?
And when you're in that panic mode,
yep.
and if, like I'm just saying, if there was a fire on the stove and you grab, say, a towel and you go to put it out and your hand hits the handle and the water and the potatoes goes flying and the oil and it starts spilling, things can escalate.
It can escalate. Yeah.
And we've made this situation worse, and the panic, instead of going down, is going up.
And so how do you handle that? Right?
Yeah.
So take that example. All right. You thought this was going to work. Now you're covered in boiling water. The potatoes are on the floor. There's now a fire on your stove. You're burnt. It's spread. What do you do next? What's the next thing? At some point, are you going to stand there and let yourself get burned alive? Probably not. There will always be an opportunity to get yourself out of the situation, right? And if you can't, so let's say it's a car accident, okay? Now I can't avoid this. I'm about to hit a car. You know what you don't do going into your car is you don't not wear your seatbelt, right?
Yeah, hopefully not.
You do things to prepare yourself. You don't get into a car when you've never driven. You learn, right? There's things that you do to prepare yourself. When you start your sobriety journey, I highly recommend talking to a therapist. That'll be your first point. That's their first point, to be able to talk to somebody, to voice it, to get your voice back, right? And it's with somebody who has no vested interest in your life other than for you to be healthy. That's what they're there for. That's what they're there for. They are there just for you to be healthy. That's their job.
It's true.
It's easier than friends or family, right? Yeah. Like friends and family, they have a vested interest in your life, your situation, everything like that. That might be more difficult to have those conversations with that third party. Not only are they experts, guaranteed you have not said anything to them that they have not heard. You're not alone. You're not alone. So highly recommend talking to a therapist. But these are the things that you set yourself up for. Now you're learning to drive, right? You're learning a new skill. What do I look like sober? So get the learning, get the education, whatever. And there's lots, right? There's the meetings, there's podcasts, there's books, there's therapy is really going to help, because it's going to get you to the root of where that trauma is, and they can give you tools. They can help educate you. They can give you ideas on how to do this. And you don't have to do it alone.
It's walking through the fire, and that fear, so much fear of, taking that first step, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then somebody maybe finding out, or you've got to tell somebody. I remember that just being a huge wall to climb, because that admission of it.
Aren't I functioning?
Well, everybody else can navigate this.
Yeah.
And like you said earlier, I think it was on the other show, well, how bad is it? Was it so bad? It's so bad that you had to quit? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And not only quit, but admit that herein lies the problem, because we don't want to surrender.
Yeah.
And then that is saying that I can't handle what we think those other 7 million people are doing.
Yeah.
But we can handle it, and you know what? Either can they. They're a mess too.
Well, and not everybody has a problem with drugs and alcohol, but a lot of people do.
You look at them at last call, they're not pretty people.
No. Well, I wasn't.
When you're sober and you hang around some people that are drinking, they don't look good. They don't sound good. They do stupid things. They say stupid things. They're a mess.
Yeah.
Like, it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh my God, if I had a few drinks, I'd sleep with her. You know?
Yeah.
And you're like, man, you know.
I think some of my decision-making skills
and she would have slept
are...
with me. And I was like, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not looking so good.
But now you're learning a new skill. And when you accept that you have to learn new skills, then now you have to just do it. Right?
You've got to summon the courage to reach out.
Yeah.
You've got to reach out and reach up.
Yep.
And then find out it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Well, and it doesn't really matter what it is. Really, it doesn't. If you're an atheist, that's fine.
That's true.
Find it in yourself then. If you're not, and you want to ask, whatever that lifeline is going to be for you when you're in an emergency and you need it, take it. Have it.
Your mother, your dog, your kids, your wife, your husband, your grandmother, the sun, a tree, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Just grab onto that and use it as a power.
Exactly. That's your power. That's your self. That's your self-worth. And you asked, well, what's my secret sauce? For me, it's pretty simple. How would I advise my kids if they were feeling exactly the way I am right now? How would I advise them?
What would you tell them?
What would I tell them? It wouldn't be, by all means, go ahead and abuse that drug of choice.
And it wouldn't be nagging.
It wouldn't be nagging. It wouldn't be all of those things that we put ourselves through as we're going through our sobriety and as we have that white knuckle experience. We are much harder on ourselves than anybody would be.
Oh.
Right? And so for me, it's the realization or that reminder of it doesn't matter what happens, how it happens. I have a choice. And how would I talk to my kids about it? That's what's going to get me through. Because I don't ever, as a parent, want my kids to go through the same things that I went through. Right?
For sure.
Right? Anybody who's been bullied, you really want your kids to get bullied and go through all of that?
No.
Probably not. Right? There's so much we want to protect our kids from. Now, we understand that we can't bubble wrap them and do that. But man, when faced with a difficult situation, I would like to think that as a parent, your first instinct is not to beat down that kid, but try to raise them up. Be kind to yourself as if you were that kid. That's something I learned in therapy when I was dealing with my sexual abuse. Was I was having reactions, physical reactions, and he sat me down and he said, if you could go back to the little girl at that time, you're sitting on a park bench. It's a visual exercise. You're sitting on a park bench, and if you could go back to that girl now as an adult, what would you say to her? Would you say, suck it up, or you did this, or you were in the wrong, or this? No, you wouldn't.
No.
Would you?
No.
Okay. Sit yourself down on that park bench. You've got your addict self, and you got your sober self. Your addict self is having a hard time here. What are you going to say to them?
Don't beat them up.
Don't beat them up. Right?
For sure.
So whatever that strength that you need, and it, like I say, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. the leaves, the dog, the cat, the vehicle you have, the sport that you love, the God,
Son of
Satan,
Gertrude. Yep.
doesn't matter. Wherever it's coming from, if you had to face yourself in that crisis, how are you going to help? And it's not going to be, yeah, go ahead, you're a piece of shit, go do it. Because your life isn't worth anything. How you feel right now is exactly how you should feel. No. You realize that the next day after you poured your liquor out. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? In that moment, though, that's how you felt. You chose something different because you knew what the end result was going to be. So you had some strength of self there. But, that self-doubt, that negative talk, that I'm about to fall off my...
Pure fear.
Pure fear. Right? It's okay. It's okay to be afraid. Now, what have you got? What have you got to help?
Standing up at the gates of hell.
What have you got to help yourself? And have those conversations with yourself beforehand or with somebody. If you're that person that absolutely needs to have someone on standby for that, you feel comfortable enough that at the moment you feel that visceral fear, you've got a speed dial, or you've got somebody on a chat, or you've got a message, or whatever. Be prepared for it. Talk yourself through it. Just like any other emergency, right? If you work in a... Hell, you've ever been to school, you run a fire drill. Why do you run a fire drill? To practice.
Yeah.
Practice.
Makes sense.
Practice, right? Don't get caught completely off guard when the fear hits you. It will. But practice. Find what feels best. Maybe that, highly recommend talking to a therapist because that's what they will help you with. Those are some of the tools that they'll give you. But there's nothing wrong with practicing it. It's not a failure. It's preparation.
It's learning to breathe.
It's preparation. It's like anything else. You go in the car, you start it. If it's wintertime, you take the snow off. Why do you take the snow off? So you can see out the windows. Basic preparation.
That's right.
You choose not to and get into an accident. Do you take responsibility for the fact that you didn't scrape your windows? Probably. Are you ever going to do it again?
But the damage has already been done.
Probably not.
At that point.
But, these are the things that you do. You do them. Make it a habit. And once you get comfortable with that, then every day is just, I can do it. Why? Because I know I can. Because I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not a complete mess. I'm not defined by my addiction or my trauma. It's not all I am. Get past that this is the only thing that defines you. And you will look and you will see more of the world out there. And every one of those days that is a good day makes those bad days forgettable.
Disappear.
4,444 days.
Yeah.
The 4,444 days are the good days. Could you pick out which of the 4,444 days were the bad days? Could you say, oh, it was day 1,066. That was a bad day. Probably not. But you remember 4,444 days because it's pretty good. Not pretty bad. Pretty good.
Was better than what I was having in the past.
Yeah.
But I think we got to leave it at there. That's all gold, friend.
Well, I'm very glad to have been here. Would love to come back.
Thank you. We will have you back. All right. Everybody, take care.